Okay, you're on.
Hey, folks! Hear ye, hear ye! Welcome to the third edition of the Greg Copeland Show in Review. And we have a special guest with us today. I want to welcome the former mayor of Maplewood, Mr. Bob Cardinal, who won an election on Tuesday.
Yes.
You not only did you win an election, Bob, I think you actually came out on top and beat the whole crowd.
That's what the vote total showed, yeah.
Well, you've got those vote totals, don't you, Bob? I'm looking at this, and the people of Maplewood did themselves proud. They gave you the top spot, 3,352 votes for Bob Cardinal, almost 30%. Marv Copen came in second, 2,935 votes, 26%. Rebecca Cave, third. Missing the election there by a few hundred votes, couple hundred votes, about 8 votes per precinct, with 2,707 votes. John Nephew, the incumbent councilman who lost, 2,170 votes, 19%, running in a four-man race. That certainly was a surprise to some of us that are longtime observers here in Maplewood, and Bob, everybody knows that
you reap what you sow.
Right.
Yep.
Well, really, I think the people are glad that you decided to run. I know there were some people that came to you that asked you to run. You actually weren't even thinking of it until just before the filing deadline.
Yep. Day of filing. Last day of filing.
Well, share with me the reaction that you're getting. This is your first media interview since the election, since the votes were counted, and you're now the councilman-elect. Yeah. You'll be taking office in January.
Right.
And what kind of reaction are you getting from people?
It's all positive. When you talk to everybody that said, I voted for you, well, you got to realize that those are your friends that you're talking with. You're not talking with everybody.
Right.
But, so it turned out, a good turnout.
Well, I mean, I think you had a tremendous vote of confidence here.
Yeah.
You beat the incumbent nephew by almost 1,200 votes.
Yeah.
It was 1,189 votes, I think, but who's counting?
Yeah.
Quite a performance there. I mean, you're at 30, he's at 19%. He had the endorsements not only of the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, but he also had the endorsements of AFSCME. All that money that goes with that endorsement. So obviously you did something right. Obviously you were working hard. Tell us a little bit about how you did it.
Well, I don't know how I did it, but I do know this, that I think everybody that had asked me support won, except for John Nephew.
Well, it's pretty close. I understand there was a guy in St. Paul, though. He had asked me support, and he lost to 121 votes.
Oh, but that
Lee
was
Helgen.
But the other candidate running, I don't think there was an endorsement there, Greg.
Yeah. Well,
I think they both ran, but there was no endorsement by the DFL.
Well, there was no endorsement by the DFL, correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, no, AFSCME actually endorsed Lee Helgen. AFSCME endorsed Marv Copen here in Maplewood.
Yes.
And Marv managed to win back his seat by, I guess
200 votes.
200 votes and change.
Yep.
And he's certainly been a long-term fixture in and out of City Hall for a long time, endorsed by the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. Yeah. Now, the big got in this campaign, and let's just take a look at a media authority.
Okay.
I've got to get that lined up. There it is. The Maplewood race turns trashy. Now, what's that about? I mean, the only trash that was in this race was the trash issue, and the people trashed the trash man in this race, the guy that was going to make the big change, Mr. Nephew. That was his baby. Yep. This whole trash deal where, the city was going to fire the family trash haulers that have been doing their job with great efficiency. I remember there was a statement that you made during the election at the League of Women Voters meeting that perhaps 2 people in 6 years talked to you about trash problems.
That's right. When I was mayor for 6 years, I say two people because I don't know if there was one. I don't think two people mentioned trash hauling to me in 6 years. And I was done in 2005, so I don't know how much could have changed in 5 years.
Right. Well, I had a similar experience there as city manager. I remember one incident where a woman called me to complain that the commercial hauler was picking up the trash too early, and we resolved that with a couple of phone calls. So,
Sure.
You know, trash has never been a problem in Maplewood. You know, actually, it's one thing that works well that the city actually doesn't do.
That's right.
You know,
right, yeah.
so, and I think the people overwhelmingly want it to stay that way.
Yeah.
The big question, I guess, for our viewers there and for the residents of Maplewood is, how do you keep this lame duck city council
Right.
from acting, as I understand it, they're planning on acting in November
Well, they might
on the
be
28th.
acting on Monday. They could be acting on Monday. Now, is this live?
This is not live, Bob.
Okay,
we're
all
on
right.
we're on
Okay,
tape, so
so-
we probably won't. They probably won't see this by Monday
okay,
of
that's-
this next week.
Right.
But they'll certainly see it before the 28th, when November 28th. That is when
Right.
your council again meets. One of their last meetings before you join them.
That's right.
Now, of course, you know, we all would expect that the one opponent that actually is on the council right now, the only opponent on the council right now, Marv Copen,
Right.
would be listening to the people, even though he didn't put trash hauling on his last brochure that went out to the voters. I'm presuming that you might have some insight into what he might be doing.
I do.
You know, and to the extent that maybe he's going to make a motion to put this on ice. What do you think?
I did. I called him to congratulate him, and we had a nice discussion, and I wished him well, and I said I look forward to working with him. And the issue that's on the table right now is they want to sign a contract with Allied Waste.
Now, this is Allied Waste. It's part of Republic Services out of Phoenix, Arizona.
They're a public company, so they're
Yeah, it's like $300 billion company. I mean, they're no
big company.
small
Yeah.
enterprise.
Yeah, they probably got some real contracts. So, you know, I hope the attorney in Maplewood can read through that contract, and
Yeah, maybe he needs to ask for more time.
I think that'd be prudent.
Yeah, yes, it would.
Yeah.
You know, and frankly, I've always been, you know.
Well, here's the point.
Yeah,
Here's
go ahead.
the point, Craig. We've got a candidate here that says ending the lawsuits. Well, ending the lawsuits would be not to sign a contract right now, to let the lawyers look over those contracts and see what it's saying, instead of signing a contract and then have to do away with it or amend it later on.
Right.
In January when the council changes.
Well, you know, especially in light of one really important point, and I think it's a point that you've made in your race, and that is that there's not a problem.
Right, right.
I mean, this is a solution in search of a problem.
Right.
And the people of Maplewood said, you know what, the problem is John Nephew, and
Right.
they voted him down.
That's right.
They didn't return him to his seat for the next 4 years,
Well,
the
he
seat
was,
you're going to
he
have.
was a champion. He was a champion.
Well, yeah,
on
it's his
this.
baby. I mean, and I just wanted to ask you about the money, because
Yeah.
I'm an old reporter. That's what I like to do. And I'm just wondering, you know, he says that the staff says, and I don't know if it's him or the staff half the time when I listen to him, but he quotes the staff as saying that it's going to be somewhere between $1.1 and $1.6 million in savings. And then I hear reports from the people that are paying attention to this saying, well, the city's going to buy the radio frequency equipped trash cans, and those are going to cost something along the lines of $1 million.
Right.
So
Well, here's the problem.
Is the $1 million savings
Yeah.
before you deduct the cost to the city of the trash cans or
Yeah.
after?
Yeah. Well, here's the problem. I heard him state that $1 million. He can save the city $1.5 million. Well, how can he save the city $1.5 million? You got to spend $1 million on trash cans, right?
Right.
Then you got to add the staff, city staff. Then you don't even know what your contract is. So how can he say? I don't know why he said that. He can save the city $1.5 million. They don't even know what the contract is, right? Are they going to tell the hauler what they're going to pay? I don't know how that works, but
Well, you know, this does
Doesn't that make sense?
This does raise a question.
Yeah, how are you going to save $1.5 million? You don't even know what the contract is.
Yeah,
And he's been saying that all along.
Well, of course, the Maplewood Authority here,
right,
otherwise known as the Maplewood Review, indicates that they're 99.99%. This is the edition from November 2nd. I think I had that right. Maybe I added too many nines, but you know, that they've got this thing just about locked down. And I remember him at one of the debates saying, you know what, folks, this issue's off the table. It's going to be decided before you take office, even if I lose, essentially.
Yeah.
And, you know, here you are. Yeah. You've won. He's lost. Yeah. Wouldn't the responsible thing for him to do at this point is to make a motion himself, perhaps, to lay his own idea on the table?
Well, the other, his supporters, I see on this flyer that he had 3 council people supporting him that...
Yeah.
If they want to get in a lawsuit, I think that's what they can do. But he's claiming in lawsuits. So
well, let's go.
Does that make sense, Greg? How do you retract it?
Well, I think the only way to protect the city's interest is to put this thing on ice so that a council that's been elected by the people, informed by the election results, obviously will have a full authority in January to act without question and let the issue play out from there. The public is not asking for, what's the rush?
Yeah.
What's the rush? Folks, there you are.
Yeah.
We're going to go back in time a little bit to October 20th and look at the video from the debate that the League of Women Voters did. That would be clip 24, clip 7, 2410 on the tape, where we talk about the haulers and this savings that's alleged as a part of the contract.
That's good.
Because I don't want you to think we're making up those numbers, because actually we're not. And when that clip comes up, we'll go to it. You know, when we get that new equipment like CCO has out here, well, you know, because you're going to be having a voice on the commission here, the cable commission, hopefully.
That's good.
And, you know, perhaps you can, you know,
Get
help
everything
update things, you know, for us. Clip number 7. Clip number 7. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that verification information to come up, I guess you're kind of looking forward to other issues coming up as well on the council.
Right.
I remember that you were talking about the fire service.
Yeah, that's.
And you know, we don't want to get too far away from our favorite topic, but while they're looking for that particular clip,
that situation has been a problem for a number of years. So I think it's time to just stop and review the facts, get the firemen together and talk and see what are the best solutions.
Right.
These are taxpayers, these firefighters.
And residents of the city.
Yeah, right.
I mean, except for those that are, you know, full-time, I guess we don't have as many full-time people working and living in the city.
16 full-timers.
But
when you were manager.
Yeah, we were around 13, I think, in those days, and we had about 80-plus volunteers.
That's way down.
And those are the people that, you know, we had to keep working to recruit because we had a lot of folks that were, you know, retiring, frankly. Yeah. And I know Chief Lucan didn't enjoy the recruitment process, but it's something that, you know, I told him we had to do.
I think the hard thing there, Greg, was they'd recruit and the guys would get trained and then they'd go to work for St. Paul.
You know, we did lose a few, and it's a competitive market out there, and no matter what happens, at least up until this point, St. Paul's able to pay a little bit more. Well, if we can't find that clip, then we'll move on. Now, what we're looking at here is a insert that was in the Maplewood Review, and this is something that Mr. Nephew put out, and he listed all these endorsements. And Bob, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, there was,
and you can comment, because I mean, there's a lot of people here that are in public office that you're going to have to work with. Obviously, have any of these people called you to indicate that they've gotten the message that you know, the track that Maplewood was on was the wrong track?
Well, first off, John claims proven leadership, and I don't know what that proven leadership would be. I mean, you know, he's on account. He was providing proven leadership with the trash hauling situation, but The endorsements he's got is all the DFL, every ASME and labor and everything else. Unbelievable, the endorsements. And besides Betty McCollum, our Congresswoman, Chuck Uyghur, Nora Slawik, who I did talk to about the trash haul. I remember.
Now, of course, Nora actually lives in the city, unlike
does.
Betty McCollum.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, Betty doesn't have an
Chuck
office in
does
Maplewood.
Too. Chuck, I think, was a recent, moved in as a resident up, and he lives up by Maplewood Mall.
Okay, great.
I think a change occurred there. And Nora, she didn't have any clue. What's this garbage hauling issue?
Yeah, was she unhappy with her garbage service?
I don't think so, but she said, what's this garbage issue? And then she said, what's this lawsuit? You know, but I think that's a common practice there. And then it's surprising, I don't see Ted Lilly on this, but I see Leon Lilly.
Yeah.
And then Victoria Reinhardt. It's a DFL slate. I mean, they actually, and I told John this, the only reason he was elected to the city council was he was a DFLer.
Well, I remember hearing
Did you hear that?
a number of things in your debate with the League of Women Voters that you were calling into question the lack of balance on the city council.
Yeah, I mean, when you have 5 DFLers on a council, I mean, you shouldn't have disgruntled people, and some can think and some can sleep and text on their messages and all that.
Well, let's go to clip 12 on the strength of what you just said. Clip 12 is
she doesn't want to go there.
Number. Well, okay, we can keep talking while they try to get there.
You know, if I could mention this,
go right ahead.
This is really unfortunate because, you know, when you run for office, you end up talking to reporters.
Indeed.
Yeah.
You hope to talk to reporters.
You talk to reporters, and this the Lilly paper, I just find so many errors in their reporting, and I didn't confront the reporter, but
Now, for people that are perhaps not residents of Maplewood that may be seeing this, you're talking about the Maplewood Review published by the Lilly newspaper chain.
Yeah.
Senator Ted Lilly, a Republican, is one of the publishers of that newspaper, correct?
And you know, you give them information, and then they put it wrong. For instance, my daughter is a very fine student at North High, right?
Grace.
Fine student. She's a top student there for 2 years. And
for 2 years.
Yeah, for 2 years. And then they say they basically asked, where do you have any children? Do they go to school? What their ages are? They left out names, which was good, right? But they said, where do they go to school? Well, in my email back to the reporter was a daughter as a sophomore, 10th grader at North High School, right? So what's he put here? All the kids attend St. Jerome School. I mean, not accurate.
Not accurate. 2 years inaccurate. And you emailed that information
directly
back.
to the reporter.
Wow.
Now, I did talk to the reporter, and I did get some bad comments about the reporting done on the Lilly paper. And it's just way unfortunate. So, I mean, so I guess you just can't believe everything you read in the paper. I guess that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. Having been a reporter, we understand mistakes happen. That one sounds a little difficult to make because you've got a written record coming back.
Yeah, it's coming right to you.
But you know what? You won the race anyway. And I hope that the reporter will come up and tell you, geez, thanks for the information, and I won't make that mistake again.
I do want to say that, so I don't forget, I want to thank John Nephew for his service. I think he did almost 4 years so far.
Right.
And I do think that we should thank him for his service.
Okay.
To the city.
Well, John, if you're watching, you just got a thank you from the man who will be taking your place. Now, let's talk about a couple of the issues in your race beyond the trash hauling. Obviously, you're a guy that's been the mayor of Maplewood. You were there for 6 years. This isn't your first time in the election business. And let's talk about that fire department situation, because that is critical. That has to do with the ambulance service, that has to do with property costs, and also insurance costs, and the fire rating that's assigned to your homeowner's policies. And without a competent, well trained, and well dispatched, and you know about dispatching, because I think you were involved in that too, changing that, which finally took effect in 2006 with the county doing the dispatching. But you can appreciate how people in South Maplewood must feel when their fire station has been closed.
Yeah, I drove by there the other day, and the lights are on in the fire station, but there's no, and they've got an old engine in there, and I think an old ambulance, but the use was used this year. They used it for the election.
Yeah, right. They had a meeting there. I thought it was kind of odd to have a public meeting at the fire station that's closed and brag about your budget and your public services. I mean, frankly, you know, Mr. Nephew's campaign card that some of you may have had on the door clearly states, "We've maintained Maplewood City services and held our general fund budget almost flat." Well, if you closed 40% of your fire stations, I don't know. It doesn't sound to me like you're maintaining city services, especially for people on the South Leg, you know, that depend on location. Obviously, minutes are lives. I mean, we measure service in response time in this business. And then he talks about having the general fund budget almost flat based on tax increases every year. And then he was trying to run as the Democrat to cut the budget. You know, I don't think so.
And I did tell him that, you know, it's more than just him that runs the city.
Of course.
So he can't take credit for all that. I mean, the mayor has done things. So I would like to go back to talking with Marv Copen. He's not satisfied with what's going on there.
Yeah.
And so I recognize that, and hopefully, you know, he and I can work together a little bit and help the others.
Well, you know, apparently our video is not able to be used for this program, but I do recall that you, during your debate again at the League of One Voters Forum on October 20th, indicated you were very disappointed that the city manager was not using the Maplewood Monthly to communicate with the people.
Should I tell you what that was about?
Go right ahead.
Okay, well, the issue came out, I don't know if it was October 1st or September 28th or 9th, but looking through the newsletter, the Maplewood Monthly,
yeah,
and people read that religiously.
Right.
They do.
Everybody gets it delivered.
And they read the words. And so you get that, and cover to cover, you don't see one word about an election in Maplewood. This is October. This is 4 weeks, 5 weeks before the election. Not a word. And I just said that I think the city manager is totally incompetent, or he's been instructed not to say anything about the election.
Yeah, because I know certainly when I was there, we, you know, not only would write about the election, but we featured prominently in terms of the dates and whatnot, what you had to do to get an absentee ballot,
Right.
that kind of information, because you want people participating. I mean, Minnesota has a great tradition of leading the nation in terms of voter turnout and civic participation, and you know, you can't do that if people don't know when things are happening, where the polling places are, et cetera.
Yeah, now, prior to the election, I went through the proposed budget, the new proposed budget, and they suggested for this year, they expected 7,000 votes. And we got, what, 11,000 votes?
It was 11,214.
Yeah, they expected 7,000, so they wanted a low turnout, or they suggested they wanted a low turnout.
Well, there you are. Obviously, this election brought out a tremendous, what, twice as many people, or more than twice in the general election, I guess. Now, I was also did some math, and you know, if you take the incumbents, I mean, I realize that Mr. Copen won, but if you take the people that voted for you and voted for Rebecca Cave, that the two of you actually got more votes than the two incumbents. And not by a little bit, but by 15.74% by my numbers here. 954 more votes than the total that voted for the status quo, shall we say. And
that would amount to 400 between first and second place, and then
right. Well, you
700,
right,
500.
Well, you were 1,189, I think, ahead of 1,182 ahead of the fourth place finisher, Mr. Nephew. So obviously, I mean, you had a tremendous lead, and there was 228 votes separating Mr. Copen and Ms. Cave. So you know, it's quite an impressive result.
Got to compliment the citizens of Maplewood for.
Well, it's every election's in the hands of the citizens,
right.
And of course, I know you've emphasized in your race too. The park situation, that you were not interested in selling parkland.
No.
Tell us a little bit about your position on that.
Well, first off, you've got a great system of parks. You can go less than a mile and you hit a park wherever you live in Maplewood.
Right.
So there's no need to sell those parks. I mean, what are you going to get for them?
Well, in fact,
Not much.
As I recall, you even said the city should think about buying more parkland.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get more parks.
So you support the acquisition of the area in South Maplewood?
You know, I don't know enough about that.
Oh,
I don't know enough. That kind of came afterward, and of course, the developer there, I think, went
out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a tough deal there.
Yeah, we're talking about the area, folks, in South Maplewood, the Fish Creek area. There was a couple of different proposals that, in fact, I think during the time I was city manager, had at least 3 different proposals during that time, and there had been a previous proposal prior to me being on the scene. And I remember Mayor Longree and Eric Jelly, who was a city council member from South Maplewood area, and certainly Rebecca Cave. That was a very important issue for the 3 of them, and they made the determination that the zoning had just been changed on that property, and the real issue for them was not to change the zoning to increase the number of units down there to do what this developer wanted to do. And of course, he wasn't happy with that result, and ultimately, on a technicality, tried to sue the city, and that was knocked down. They never prevailed against the city. In fact, now even Mr. Rosbach, who supported that development, and Ms. Juniman, who supported that development, have supported financing the acquisition of the Fish Creek area down there, the property down there.
You know, I got to mention.
So that's kind of a big move.
Yeah, that, you know, going back to the parks, but you kind of there's always a sore point in the campaign, and the biggest sore point in the campaign for me was when John Nephew came out with that postcard and mailed it to voters, suggesting that when I was mayor, there was a 15.8% increase in taxes.
Yeah.
And the bad thing about that was, if he had looked at the minutes, it was actually 15.3. This was 2002 for the next year's budget. And I had made a proposal to double the cost of living from, the cost of living was then 2.7. I rounded up to 3. And I said, let's double that. So 6%. Levy. And Mr. Nephew interpreted the vote of a 15.3% as my tax increase, when I didn't even vote positive on that. I voted negative. It was a 4-to-1 vote, and Marv Copen and Kathy Juniman supported that tax increase.
Well, and in backing you up on that too, certainly he also, Mr. Nephew, made the accusation that Rebecca wanted to raise people's taxes. Actually, that's not true either. During the entire time that we were there, the tax rate actually was frozen for the first year, and the second year we actually cut the tax rate. And you know, the tax rate has only gone up under this last 4 years every year, and as I understand it, they're proposing yet another tax increase. Folks, we're running out of time, and we've got only a few seconds left. I want to tell you one little commercial. You're all going to appreciate Bob serving, no doubt, but there is a body that we don't appreciate so much, and that's the county commissioners. Your opportunity to meet with them to talk about your tax bill, that's coming up on November 28th at the Roseville High School. You might want to put that date on your calendar. They'll be meeting in the evening. I believe it's 7 o'clock when they're going to actually start the meeting. They'll have a little information booth operation going at 6 o'clock over there at the high school. This is November 28th. That's a Monday. And you should make plans to get over there because Ramsey County wants to spend more of your money than they spent last year. And that's really crazy in this environment. Folks, thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Bob, for coming today.
All right,
and
thanks,
good
Greg.
luck in your service.
All right, thank you, Greg.